Kiddushin, Daf Yomi Kiddushin, getting to the essence. Israel, Gvua, Haartzot. By our learning today, apart from all the other tefillot that we have, be the schut to provide that the Rebbeinu Shalom will put into the hearts of our leaders the right choices and decisions to make for Klal Yisrael as we move forward. You know that my process, we've talked about it a little bit, that I learned the daf the day before. So yesterday I learned Daf Samach. Usually already just have a sense, a feeling as to what I'm likely to want to work on for the Matmonim, sometimes begin working on it, which I did yesterday, which led me to a piece of Gemara, which we'll see, where there's an obvious question. Everybody's troubled by the question. That's where I left it. And then this morning, as you know, I always start with some right brain learning. And I choose what to learn in the right brain learning very intuitively. It's just a feeling that this is something. So I put my hand out to reach for a sefer, which is one of the sforim that I'm busy with in the mornings, and that's, as you know, the Shmone Kvotzim of Rav Kook, the journals of Rav Kook, knowing, it's interesting how the Rebbeinu Shalom communicates with you when you're learning Torah, like knowing that in the sefer, in what I'm about to learn, is a key to what I need to learn in the Gemara. Like I knew that. And in the Shmone Kvotzim, there were just two lines that I focused on. And that's the second piece that I quote in the sources. Habeit el ha'orot betoch yutam. Look at the lights into their essence. Al yival'u nishmatcha hashemot. Don't let your neshama get overwhelmed by terms and definitions. Milim, words. Nivim, expressions. Otiyot, letters. Heim mesurim biyadcha v'yatam asur b'yadehem. Those things, the words, terms, expressions, letters, they are tools in your hand. You are not a tool in their hand. Alei lemala alei, go higher, ki koach azlach, because there's a powerful force that you have. Yesh lecha kanfei ruach, you have wings of spirit. Kanfei nesharim avirim, the wings of powerful eagles. Al tikachesh bam, don't deny them. Pen yekacha shulach, otherwise those wings will deny you. Derosh otam, seek them, look for them. V'yimatzu lecho miyad, and they will immediately be discovered by you. You will find them. So always in the learning, whether I'm learning Gemara, we're learning something like this, or I'm learning a posuk, I always try to make it a conversation, that this is the mechaber of the sefer is talking to me. So this is how my morning started early this morning, with this message. That's where to start. The posuk that we're busy with today is, in the first source, Ki yipaleh mimcha davar lemishpat, when something is evading you. So that's also interesting, isn't it? This is something that you don't understand. Ben dam ledam, ben din ledin, ben nega lenega, divrei rivot b'sharech. It doesn't matter if it's an Orach Chaim or you're a Deo and Choshen Mishpat, you're dealing with a halacha and you can't get it. Something's evading you. V'kamta v'alita el hamakom asher yibchar Hashem lekecha bo. Get up and go to the place Hashem chose. Get up and go to Yerushalayim. Such a strange thing to say, isn't it? Imagine a professor talking to his students at school and say, you know what, if you find something difficult with this maths, get up and go to Paris. Really? And do what there? Yeah, okay, so the posuk goes on, and you meet with the Kohanim and so on. This piece of Rav Kook triggered in me a piece of the Tel Zerov, of the shiur das. And the shiur das, in the beginning of the fourth chelik of the shiur das, is one of his most important pieces, although each time you learn the shiur das, you think this is one of his most important pieces. And that's what the shiur das is. It's a collection of the most important pieces of writing that one can have in that area. That's what it is, the shiur das. And he talks about tzurat ha-chokhmah hi ikara v'tochna ha'amiti. He talks about the difference between chomer and tzura. Chomer literally means the material from which something is made, and tzura is the design. And the wisdom is all in the design, of course. If you take the chomer of a computer, it's nothing. It's some copper and some sand and some plastic, and that's what it is. The tzura, the way it's designed, enables it to do all sorts of amazing things. So it is with everything. The chomer is just the material, the tzura, the inner meaning, the design, the way things are put together, the patterns, is what the essence of it is. And that's Chomer and Surah. And that's Tochna Amiti, that's true content. The content is not the material, the content. The content is the design. B'yediat hachomer shel hachochma bilvad lo yikarei adam chacham. By knowing the chomer, by knowing the data, the facts, the information, whether it's Shas that you know, and Zohar, and Medrash, and Sifro, and Sifri, and Bavli, and Yerushalmi, doesn't matter how much you know. If it's information, that doesn't make you a chocham. That makes you a Baal information. You've got information. Ki rak ha'ozin kaltalata, because only the ear got it. Aval lo nichnesa belibo, v'lo chadra letoch nishmato. But the essence of what you've learned hasn't penetrated your heart and hasn't reached the depths of your neshama. V'rak kasher makir u'mavchin b'tzurat ha'chochma. And only when you understand the design of what you're learning, mita'amek ba, the essence, the soul of what you're learning, you go deeper, u'makifota mikol tzdadeha, and you encompass it from all its different dimensions. Then he nitpeset belibo shel ha'adam v'naset l'chelek minishmato. Then it penetrates the heart of the person and becomes part of his neshama. Then he goes on to say, when you're dealing with a chomer, when you're dealing with informational content, ein hefresh bo al pi rov ben zeh shel ish echad lemishneo. Two people who've read the same article, who've gathered the same information, who've used the same Google search, who found the same chat GPT, they've got the same access to the same information, the same knowledge. There's no difference when it comes to chomer. It doesn't matter whether you're Einstein or you're a Cheder child. If you've accessed information, both of you have got the same information. But when it comes to the tzura, the design, the essence, the soul of the wisdom, there's just no comparison between the great person who's learning and the smaller person who's learning. Because the real distinction between a great chocham and a small person is not about the knowledge, it's to the degree to which you understand the tzura. What does it mean underneath? What's the essence of this? What's its real meaning? It's the difference in deep understanding of the same information. Two people have the same information, but they see different patterns, they see different designs. That's what makes a difference between one and the other. How they develop and are absorbed in the heart, and their clarity and so on. And then he says, and really every person has this capacity, provided you understand, and herein is the essence. The difference is, are you trying to pull the information down to your little brain, or are you trying to lift your little brain up to the essence and the source of what it is that you're learning? Do you recognize that there's something much bigger? And it's not just about learning. It's whether you're looking at a sunset or you're speaking to another human being. Are you looking at the chomer or are you looking at the tzura? Are you limiting what you're dealing with to your capacity, or are you elevating yourself to become absorbed in something much, much bigger than you, something that is infinitely bigger than you? That becomes the real difference. Because if you do that, you might get a glimpse into the wisdom of the Rishonim, of the early authorities of Torah, if you just allow yourself to go there. So the reason that holds us behind is choser ha'akara ki yeshna hasaga yoter il yodam mishalahem. What holds us back is arrogance. The lack of belief that there's a greater intellectual understanding than yours. When you're working with a Rashi, you've got to understand, who is this Rashi? Am I trying to make Rashi make sense to me, or am I trying to get into the mind of Rashi, as you'll see we do in a moment? And so he goes on. This is just so important. I often say to myself when we learn these things that if only we had the opportunity and the time, this is something we should stop and we should spend a couple of hours on learning together, because this will change your life. And we can only touch on it, and it's a pity that that's the nature of our lives, that we dabble in stuff and we don't have the opportunity to really spend the time to go deep and to learn together and to understand and to talk about it and reflect upon it, because that changes our lives when we do that kind of thing, as opposed to the way we have time to learn now. And he goes on again, it's worth reading this piece, it's worth getting the Sefer and learning it inside. So what's our Gemara? our Gemara, we start a new parak called Asara Yuchsin, and the Mishnah starts with Asara Yuchsin Alumi Bavel. There are 10 different familial categories of people that left Bavel with Ezra and went to Eretz Yisrael to build the second Beis HaMikdash. And the Mishnah goes in, of course, we're talking about the family issues, but as an aside, says the Gemara, Asara Yuchsin Alumi Bavel, my Ayridetani Alumi Bavel. The Gemara gets caught up on a word, although the essence, what we're really talking about are the 10 Yuchsin. The Gemara says, why did it say they came up from Bavel? To say they went on Aliyah. Why do you have to they went up from Bavel? It's just a strange word. Let's just say they went to Eretz Yisrael. Answers the Gemara, Milta agav urche kamashmala. And the Mishnah teaches us something, by the way, Kidatanya, as we learned. V'kamta va'alita el hamakom asher yivchar Hashem Elokecha. That pasuk that we learned in Mishpatim, you should get up and go to the place which Hashem has chosen. Melamed shebeit hamikdash gavoa mikol Eretz Yisrael ve'Eretz Yisrael gavoa mikol haaretzot. The Beis HaMikdash is higher than anywhere in Eretz Yisrael, and Eretz Yisrael is higher than all the other nations, all the other countries of the world. And of course, you know exactly what was troubling me last night. It's not true. That's all it isn't. Go to Yerushalayim, you'll see Yerushalayim is not the highest, and you go to Israel is not the highest. The Himalayas are higher. It's not Mount Ararat where the Teva lands. It is higher than Yerushalayim. It just isn't true. What does it mean? And the Mashor and the Sefer HaMakneh and the Maharal go into that. But let's look at Rashi. Milta agav urche kamashmanan. People struggle with this Rashi as well. Look at it carefully. Let me first just read and translate it, then we'll unpack it. Al pi darko, by it, using its method, the Mishnah's method. Shehaya holech umedaber dvarav liyuchsin. It was talking about matters of yuchsin, of family relationships. Hishmiyanu, it comes to let us know as well. Velimdanu, and taught us davar chadash belishna danakat, a new thing in the language it chose. Pause. V'lamadnu od mimenu, and we learned something else. Eretz Yisrael gavoa mi Bavel, that Eretz Yisrael is higher than Bavel. But that's the only thing we learn from it. What's Rashi saying? And all these words in the Rashi, Alpi darko she'aya olech umedaber dvarav liyuchsin heshmiyanu v'limdanu davar chadash belishna. What is denakat in the language that he uses? Says Rashi, what Rashi is explaining, this idea that Eretz Yisrael is higher than everywhere else, we'll talk about that in a moment. But there's something else that the Mishnah is teaching us. In the language you choose, it's not just what you say. You can teach a whole lot in the way you talk, in the way you discuss things. We're talking about yuchsin. The same as when we do Matmonim in our Beis HaMedrash. We're talking about the Gemara, but as a result of that, we go to all sorts of magnificent places. That's how the Mishnah works. That if you allow yourself to travel with the choice of words, you will go to unbelievable places. But you've got to let yourself travel. What did Rav Kook say to us at the start? Just understand their wings. Get hold of them. Look for them. Yesh lecha kanfei ruach. Look at the orot betoch yutam. Al yibalu nishmatcha hashemot. Don't get locked up in the form of what you're seeing. Get to the essence and understand what's beneath the surface. And you'll see that he used a word, Asara Yuchsin Alu, just that word Alu. He's telling us something. And what is he telling us with the word Alu? Human beings are capable of elevation. Human beings are capable of uplifting themselves. There's such a thing as Aliyah. That's the first thing it's telling us. Alu. They made Aliyah. That, at this point, that doesn't even mean they came to Eretz Yisrael. It means they uplifted themselves. And the second thing is, where did they uplift themselves to Eretz Yisrael? Now let's go back to the posuk. If you look at the very end of the source sheet, I'll bring the Rashi on the posuk. Ki yipaleh kol hafla'a lashon havdala ufrisha she'adavar nivdal u'mechuseh mimcha. When the word hafla is used, it means the thing you're struggling with is covered. You can't get to it. You can't understand it. What is the Torah's answer to that? Ki yipaleh mimcha davar v'kamta, stand up, stature, height. Va'alita, and elevate yourself. Because from a place of elevation, you can see much more clearly, you can see the full context. Go to a higher place. That's what the posuk's telling us. V'kamta ve'alita. Where do I go? How do I? If you really want to elevate yourself, the highest place you can go to is Yerushalayim. And now if we're learning with this approach of the Tel Zerov and with the suggestion of Rav Kook, it doesn't enter our mind to think that this is a geography teaching us the topography of the Middle East. It doesn't even enter our mind that that's what this is about. What this is about is aliyah, the clarity that one gets when one's in a place closer to the Ribbono Shel Olam than otherwise. And this is the Achronim that I've brought mentioned. This is the Sha'ar Shamayim, and it's where the Beis HaMikdash is, and the yeshivas there, and the Kohanim there, and there's a Beis HaMikdash. It doesn't matter what the reason is, but the importance is there is a place that enables you to elevate yourself. There is a place that enables you to uplift yourself. And ki yipalei b'michadavar, when something is evading you, when the understanding of an idea is evading you, that's an indication you're too low. You don't have perspective. You need to raise yourself. And the way to raise yourself is to go to that place. Get up and move. And sometimes we're able to do that physically. And it makes a big difference to be able to do that physically. But sometimes we can't do it physically, but we can still, we can take our minds to that place. But there's got to be a kima. You've got to be willing to get up from where you are. You can't stay where you are and expect to understand it. If you're not understanding it, the reason is because you're too low. So the first thing is get up, stand up. Look with a different perspective. Ve'alito. And the next thing you do is elevate yourself. Take your mind and get higher. You need some height. You need those wings that Rav Kook talks about, because you've got to get to the tzura, not just to the chomer. You can't see patterns if you're stuck in the detail. You can only see patterns if you uplift yourself and you go high. And in the patterns is the neshama of the chokhmah. That's where the soul of the wisdom is, in the patterns, in the tzura. But for that you need height. And you've got to be able to take your mind and go to that place. Look at the world from the way the Ribbono Shel Olam sees the world. Look at the chazal that you're learning, the way that the Ribbono Shel Olam sees the chazal. So that when you learn this Gemara and it says, Beis HaMikdash gvoa mikol Yisrael, Yisrael gvoa mikol haaretzot, it doesn't enter your mind that you're talking about topography. It's so clear that you're talking about human stature, you're talking about human elevation, you're talking about height and the capacity to see with perspective and to be able to see the full context and understand the full depth of what it is that you're confronting.